Ever wonder why some people can't stand being around you? Okay, maybe that's too harsh, but let's be honest, we all feel that way sometimes. We all do things that make other people roll their eyes as soon as we walk into the room. I know I do today. Letting slip bad habits that make people dislike you. You know what? I've done most of these things too, so if you're brave enough to stick around, we're going to dive right in. It's going to be extremely controversial. They are honest and a lot of fun. If you want to find out if you're accidentally the worst, let's start a talking party. Let's talk about news. Don't lie. I can see you nodding. It feels safe to talk about someone's current relationship problems, whether it's a little office tea or something more serious. Enough already. I mean, who doesn't love being in the know? It's like we're wired for it. If you're the one giving the news, here it is. Think about what other people are thinking if they talk about that person behind. What do they say about me behind my back when I'm not there? Yes, rumors make a trust cycle. I learned the hard way, so I'll be honest with you. I used to think that talking brought people together, like if I told them the latest news, they'd think I was cool. Understandable, but you know what happened? I noticed that people avoided having deeper talks with me. Because they didn't trust me, they'd keep things on the surface. I became the person who knew everything about everyone but didn't have any real friends. It's not just that you avoid people when you talk about them all the time. Taking care of your own things is a strange detour from your problems. The more I thought about what other people were doing wrong, the worse I felt about my own. I was thinking about what I needed to change in my own life. Gossiping is bad for everyone. Your relationships are bad for you because they make you feel insecure and negative. You're bringing other people down while you're pulling them up, and you're also bringing yourself down in the process. I understood that I had to stop using gossip as an excuse to connect with people in a real way if I wanted to make real connections with them. So if you're out there talking because you think it's harmless, here's a newsflash. It's not. People notice when you do it. Remember, and they start pulling away. Trust me, I've been there. And guess what? Stopping rumors has a lot more power than there is in spreading it the next time someone tries to get you involved in the newest scandal. Watch how quickly you start to get real respect when you say, "Nah, I'm good." We all have our own mess to clean up at the end of the day, so let's stop. Being passive about everyone else's too passive violence is the art of not saying what you mean but still getting what you want. You know what I mean? Expecting people to understand you anyway. That's the famous "I'm fine with that" stone. When someone asks you to do something or gives you a cold face that says nothing but fine, even if you say, yeah, sure, whatever, deep down you're planning their downfall. We've all been there. I've been there. And it's like a twisted version of mental warfare. I thought passive-aggressive behavior was a great way to avoid a fight. You can avoid a fight by dropping hints that make them feel bad for not getting it, right? I learned the hard way that people can't read minds, and if they can, they're lying. They are purposely ignoring those signs. I used to be the queen of rude texts when someone would back out of plans instead of just, "Hey, that was kind of bad." I'd hit them with a, "Wow, that must be nice to be so." I would give a friend the quiet treatment if they did something that annoyed me or if I was busy. Care while I waited for them to suddenly understand why I was mad. And you know what? Didn't figure it out. I just looked like a childish drama queen. Let me tell you something about passive aggression. It's kind of like mental dodgeball. You're trying to avoid the problem, but all you're doing is making people angry without giving them a chance. To fix it, it's wearing you and everyone else down. The worst thing about it is that it makes people think you are tough, dishonest, or just plain, this is just plain rude. No one wants to work with someone who can't say what they mean. We think that passive violence is just a fear of being open to being hurt. We think we're keeping ourselves safe from strife, but what we're really doing is hurting our relationships. Hey, that hurt. Or I'm mad because we play these mind games. Expecting other people to understand, and here's the hard truth. It's not their job to guess how you feel, it's your job to tell them. I remember the day it hit me. I was yelling at a friend and I kept giving them these passive-aggressive jabs in the hopes that they'd finally get it. But all they did was look at me and say, "I couldn't help you if you couldn't tell me what was wrong." It hit me like a truck that I wasn't being strong enough. I wasn't being smart when I hit how I felt. I was just being a coward. Since then, I've made it's a point to say what's on my mind, which is crazy. But guess what? It's scary at first, but when you stop acting sensitive, it feels great. Get off of basketball and start talking to each other. Things will get better. You value honesty, even when it's hard to hear, and more than that, you value you for not putting up those passive-aggressive walls, so next time you want to send that shady, I guess that's fine text message or call someone, the cold shoulder, you should ask yourself if you want to keep avoiding the issue, or do you want to? I promise that life will be so much easier when you grow up and face it head-on. Stop expecting other people to understand how you feel and just tell them what's going on. They might even surprise you and fix the problem, which would be crazy. Okay, 3 people who never take blame, let's talk. About an old joke about not taking blame, you know the one. Is it ever their fault, Mr. Deadline? Well, it's because the Wi-Fi wasn't working. I know that teacher hates me because I've been there and done that. Master of making excuses, and let's face it, it's fun to avoid responsibility. Putting the blame on outside factors makes us feel less bad. It's like as a mental get-out-of-jail-free card, but here's the harsh truth. It sounds like you're yelling, I can't handle my own life, all the time. People start to think of you as unpredictable, immature, and, well, a mess. As an example from my own life, I was known for not doing my schoolwork in school, but I always did it. I was ready with an excuse. The printer broke, or I had too much work from my other job. I didn't know it was due today until the last minute for some classes and my personal best. Someone from my class told me, "You know your name every time you have an excuse, you're robbing yourself. You'll never get better if you don't take responsibility for your mistakes." That hit me like a truck, man. Here's the thing. Reasons make them feel safe. Protect us from criticism that would make us feel like we've failed. But you know what they say? Also, keep us stuck in a circle of mediocrity because if you don't take responsibility, if everyone else is always to blame, give up your power to make things better. What's the point? You're not going to get better. I saw that my making excuses all the time wasn't keeping me safe. It was holding me back every time someone or something else was to blame because I didn't want to face the harsh fact that maybe I just didn't try hard enough. You could have done better, but that's a good thing because it means you're growing. It's not enough to say, I made a mistake and I'll learn from it. Responsibility is freedom. When you own up to your mistakes, you can change things. I remember the first time I admitted I was wrong at work. I missed a deadline, and instead of making this long list of reasons, I told you, "Hey, I didn't use my time well. I'll do better next time." And you agreed. You know what? No one threw me out of the building, and my boss didn't lose it. People admired me more because I took responsibility. I learned that people don't expect you to be perfect. They just want you to do your best. Though I want you to be honest and take responsibility. I know that it's hard to do so at times. No one likes to feel like they missed a chance, but in the long run, it can change the game. People trust you more when you stop making excuses, and you trust yourself more when you stop making them. It's better to own up to your mistakes than to live in fear of being caught all the time. Plus, let's face it, life gets busy. So much easier when you don't have to think of reasons all the time. Gymnastics. Can't remember what your most recent reason was? Just take a hit, learn from it, and move on. If you want to blame the dog, the weather, or the world for something you did wrong, try this instead. Own it. It's scary at first. It hurts at first, but believe me, it feels so much better in the end. Actually start to respect you for it. That's a crazy idea, right? Now go out there, and you'll thank yourself in the future if you start taking responsibility. Of basic hygienes. Okay, everyone, it's time to talk about the big problem that nobody wants to talk about. Room, or maybe the smell in the room. Yes, we're talking about everyday cleanliness. Yes, I know this is something we shouldn't have to talk about, but you'd think we do after all. After so many years of society, you'd think that everyone would know how to use soap and water, but it looks like some people still don't. Let's be honest. No one wants to be the person that other people try to avoid because of, a certain thing. But it does happen, and I'm not here to judge. Okay, maybe a little. I'm here to help you avoid being that person, though. I have to tell you something. When I was younger, like in middle school, I went through when I didn't think I needed deodorant because I thought, hey, if I don't feel sweaty, it's all good. And I was wrong. I didn't know until someone politely but uncomfortably told me to try new brand of body spray. Yeah, that woke me up. It wasn't as bad as the dread of I promise that understanding you've been stinking up the place will make you rethink the choices you've been making in your life. Rushed home that day and bought everything in the hygiene area. But this is where things get controversial. Cleanliness isn't just about how you smell. It's also about how you look. Respect not only other people but also yourself, because this is the hard truth. People will start to wonder what else you're ignoring if you don't go the extra mile with your hygiene. If they can't handle a shower, how can they handle anything else, take on bigger tasks? It's not fair, but that's how people think, and it's not just about, let's talk about body odor, not brushed teeth, greasy hair, dirty clothes, the whole 9 yards. People start to think less of you if you look like you just got out of bed for the 3rd day in a row. Also, I wonder if they're okay and if they're even trying. Not taking care of your hygiene can sometimes be a sign of a deeper problem, like sadness, burnout, or low self-esteem. When I was having a hard time, I realized I hadn't done the simple things because I wasn't sure what the point was. One thing that can bring you down even more is not taking care of your body. At one point in my life, I was so stressed out and busy with work that I forgot to take care of myself. I would not take a shower, wear the same clothes I wore the day before, and hope that guess what? People did notice. And it wasn't until the end that they said anything. A friend asked me, "Are you okay? You've been acting a little strange." That wake-up call helped me when I realized how far I'd let things slip. I knew that not taking care of my cleanliness was a sign of a bigger problem. I wasn't taking care of my mental health either. Hygiene is more than just a way to look and smell good. It's a sign of self-respect and the first step to letting go of the shows the world and yourself that you respect who you are. Basics. It's like telling yourself, I'm not worth the work, which can spiral into greater self-doubt. But here's the good news. Small steps like brushing your teeth can help. Some things like brushing your teeth or washing your hair can help you feel better in general. It's strange how that works. It's crazy how something so small can change your mood, so I get it some days. It seems like an impossible task to get yourself into the shower, but trust me, you'll feel great afterward. You'll feel like a whole new person, and the people around you will also thank you. Everyone wins, and let's be honest, there's nothing better than a fresh feel clean after taking a shower, so do it for yourself and everyone else. Please wash your hands, put on deodorant, brush your teeth, and leave right away. Remember that good cleanliness isn't just about how you smell. Taking care of yourself is more important than pleasing other people. So if you're still not sure, you're not sure if you should take a shower today, here's your sign. Do it. You'll feel better for it. 5 people who are always whining. Let's be honest for a second. We all know that one person who always has something bad to say. They could be on a beach with a drink in their hand and complaining about everything. You can always find something bad to say. It's too warm, or this sand is too sandy. You know the type. Now, if you're still thinking, I don't know anyone like that, but you might be it. Don't worry. At some point or another, we've all done it. I went through a time when I was stressed out and constantly whined I would walk into work and ask, why is it so cold here? Or, why is I wanted this coffee so badly that I felt like I couldn't stop, but then one day, a friend told me straight out that you complain more than anyone else I've ever met. That hurt so much I couldn't even stand it. I need to admit how negative I was being, and let's be honest. You and everyone else around you get tired of whining. It's like being negative. Negativity spreads, and when you only think about what's wrong, people start to see you as a dark cloud. People are trying to avoid you. Trust me when they see you coming, and their first thought is to hide in the next room to avoid hearing another rant. That's not a good idea. Now this is where things start to get awkward. Making noise is fun, and at the moment it's like letting off steam, but the truth stays the same. Not being happy doesn't help. It makes you see only bad things, which becomes a vicious cycle. If you're always bringing up bad things, your brain learns to ignore anything good that happens around you. People start to look down on you at the table and wonder if they're unhappy, maybe they're the problem. Here's the real trouble. Whining is often a cover for something bigger. When I was whining, it wasn't really about the bad coffee or the cold office. It was about being too busy. Being stressed out and not in charge of my life made me think that whining would help, but it didn't. It wasn't helpful. If anything, it made me feel worse because I was focusing on the bad things. My life, instead of trying to find an answer, I saw that if I kept whining, I wouldn't have solved any problems. I would have just made them public. As a broken record of bad things, so I started doing crazy things whenever I felt like it. When I was upset, I'd stop and ask myself, what can I do about this if I can't change it? If I could fix it, I'd let it go and I'd stop whining and do something about it. It was hard at first, but after a while I saw a big change in how what people said about me and how I felt about myself is the thing about life. Things will always go wrong from time to time because life is unpredictable. That's just the way things are, but always being focused on what's wrong keeps you from. When you see what's right, it stops you from being grateful. That stops you from complaining. The more you look for the good, the less you'll want to complain. Guess what? When you start attracting more good things, people want to be around you, because you bring them up instead of bringing them down. So if you're always whining about things, stop. We could ask ourselves, am I, about everything from the weather to the Wi-Fi, trying to figure this out, or am I just stuck in a habit of crying because, let's be honest, all the complaining isn't cute, and it's definitely not. The next time you're about to complain, try to help someone. Change things up and find something to be thankful for. You'll be amazed at what you find, how much better you'll feel, and I'm sure everyone else will too. If you want to take the easy way out, remember that complaining may feel good at the time. That's a true power move to be always late, all right? Deal with a problem that affects more people than you might think. Being late all the time. You know the drill. There's always that one person who is always late and says, I am only 5 minutes behind. A way that somehow turns into 20, or the text message that says, I'm on my way, that you send from those people who always lie in bed in their clothes and watch TV. You look like you're stuck in the past. Now, before you start making excuses for me, let's be honest. I've been that person. You could say I was the queen of fashionably late, but it was never fashion or style. It was just, I thought it was my little rebellion against the clock because it was late. It wasn't stylish, it was just rude. I used to have bad being late for everything, like dates, meetings, and family dinners didn't work. Matter of fact, I thought I wasn't subject to the normal limits of time until one day my best friend scolded me for being late. If you're always late, it means you don't value my time, which hurts. That hit me hard. I hadn't thought about it that way before. I was so caught up in my own time management mess that I forgot how rude it was to other people, and let's face it, was chronically lazy. Isn't just a quirk of mine, it's a big red flag to other people. It means my time is more important than yours, whether it's a job interview, a dinner with friends, or just a meeting. If you're always late, people start to think of you as unstable, disorganized, and yes, a bit crazy. Being late is rude, and here's a spicy truth. It often hides greater problems. For some do it because they don't value them, while others do it to avoid making a commitment, or people are sometimes late because they're quietly dragging their feet, or because they don't want to be. We think that if I'm late enough, they'll think I'm busy or something. But it really makes people doubt your honesty and you're interested. I had to face that hard truth on my own. I wasn't just late because I felt bad. I was late one time because I was afraid of some things that might happen. Was late as a cushion, an excuse to avoid being fully present once I got there. I started getting better at managing my time and being more honest about why I was putting things off. Being late all the time isn't just a bad habit. It can be a sign of bigger problems, like not being able to handle your time well. With self-respect and care for others, Being late doesn't just mess up your plan. It also shows others feel like you don't value their time or work, and it's hard to get over that. But it's so worth it. I started setting alarms, making plans, and even showing up early to it wasn't easy. But it made a big difference for everyone to deal with my tardiness. I felt better about myself, and people started to trust me more. I wasn't known as the person who is always late, was someone who everyone could count on. If you're always late in your group, here's your challenge. It's time to step up your game. To begin, set your alarms 5 minutes early and make a plan. Your outfit the night before, or just leave earlier and see how your image and relationships change. Being on time isn't just about showing respect, it's also about don't miss out on life's moments. So stop trying to catch up and start being on time. Trust me, it will make all the difference. 7th difference, playing the victim. Alright, let's look at a habit that's a play the victim. You know the type. They've got a never-ending list of problems, and no matter what, people are always quick to say that if something goes wrong, it was someone else's fault. Why does this always happen? Happen to me? Well, here's the truth. Sometimes it's not the world planning to hurt you. It's your own thoughts right now, before you start getting. Okay, I get it. Life throws us curveballs, and sometimes it feels like you are the only one who can catch them. But here's the catch. Playing the victim can be a sneaky way to get away with it, of avoiding real growth and responsibility. And let's be honest, it's not a nice person to be around. I was guilty of this at one point. I'd moan about how bad luck never seemed to favor me. I missed a raise at work. It's just because my boss doesn't like me, I have to be having relationship problems. Cursed, and guess what? I didn't know how much I was falling for this victim until I had a heart-to-heart with a friend who told me, you always see yourself as the victim, but have you ever thought about how much you make things worse? That hurt, but it woke me up. And here's the kicker. Playing the victim can. If you do it every day, it's like putting on a mask of eternal doom. You start to believe it. That everything is happening to you instead of for you. It's tiring for everyone else and you can't grow as a person if you're always looking for someone to blame and not looking for solutions, chances to learn. Here's a sour truth. Playing the victim isn't always the best way to. This is a way to avoid facing the hard facts about ourselves that are more painful. It's much easier to blame someone else and say it's not my fault than to look in the mirror and ask, how could I have done something different? But let's be honest, that's not enabling. It's taking away power. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I was always blaming other people for my job setbacks. It wasn't until I started taking responsibility for my actions that I got ahead. I stopped seeing myself as a victim and started seeing myself as a player in my own life. It felt freeing to not wait for things to get better on their own. I started making changes and setting goals, and working to make them the victim is like being stuck. You can run and run in a hamster wheel, but you never get anywhere. When you stop being a victim and take responsibility, you break out of that loop. This doesn't mean that life's problems won't go away, but you'll be better prepared to deal with them. It's about shift your attitude from one of helplessness to one of empowerment. So if you notice yourself falling into, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try this instead. Ask yourself, what can I do about this? Give yourself the power to be your own hero. Story. It's more fun to be the hero than the victim next time If you feel like being a victim, know that you can change the rules of the game. Take charge of your life and see how it goes. I promise that your relationships will change, and if you need a reminder, just watch this movie again. No feeling sorry for yourself here, just some tough love, okay? There you have it. We've talked about some of the worst habits that can make people look down on you. Being passive-aggressive and never taking blame for things like not doing your hygiene or know how to complain about everything. And hey, if you see yourself in any of, don't worry, we can all change these bad habits. We should not waste our time on habits that do not help us or those around us. No, I'm not telling you to be perfect, far from it. But a little. Being aware of yourself can help you a lot. And even small changes can cause a big change in your relationships, your self-esteem, and the way you act in the world. And let's be honest, No one has ever said they didn't like being there. Someone who is honest, responsible, and smells good, so it's your turn to choose one bad habit that you could change this week. Maybe it's owning up to a mistake. It could be getting rid of that bad mood or just taking a quick shower. People, thank you for sticking with me through this one. If you have any smiles, a thought, or even a cringe-worthy moment of self-reflection, click like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need a friendly reminder. Reminding themselves, we're all in this together. No one is perfect, but we can all do our best. Do better. And remember that the next time you want to complain or spread rumors, it's often a good idea to ask yourself, what would I say about myself? I'll catch you next time.